Joined on the line by our East Africa correspondent, Sarah Kimani. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Now, reports suggest that well over 100 people have died in the post-election violence. What can you tell us? Can you confirm these figures?
Well, those figures cannot be confirmed because the violence has been taking place since yesterday. And what the figures probably we can go with is what the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights is saying, because they have confirmed. They say they have confirmed and they can account for every number or every person they're talking about. They're talking about police having killed 24 people, 17 of them in Nairobi, and the rest in different parts of the country, including the western towns of Kisumu and Migori. Now, the opposition has been throwing figures around, most of them which cannot be confirmed, and it would be unwise for us right now to talk about the figure of over 100 people.
Now, Sarah, let's speak about the issue of security personnel allegedly using live ammunition. Was this the case? And if so, what was the reasoning behind this?
Yes, we have witnessed the use of excessive force in the places we went to in Kibera, including attacking journalists and unarmed persons. And yes, we saw spent cartridges in most of the parts that we went to. And we actually witnessed police using live ammunition, firing tear gas, using water cannons to repel and to repulse groups of armed youth, some of them just armed with stones, sticks, who are trying to approach the police and to protest. They were trying to break into barricades set up by police to get into the city center to protest. What they're saying is the announcement of President Uhuru Kenyatta as winner of the just concluded presidential election.
But Sarah, do they have any reasons with regards to the issue of using live ammunition instead of maybe rubber bullets?
Police, through the Interior Security Minister, Dr. Matiang'i, have denied that they're using live ammunition. In fact, Dr. Matiang'i described those as rumors and gossip. But he says that anybody who has been attacked by police or anybody who has come under any form of force, where police have used force, they have used force against looters and not against peaceful demonstrators. He says the law allows for peaceful demonstration, but what he says the police have witnessed and the government has witnessed over the last 2 days is people out to loot from shops that are already closed because of the unrest and tension that is in most parts of Kibera, Magara areas. All these are informal settlements, and also parts of the Kisumu town, one of opposition leader Raila Odinga's stronghold.
Now, Sarah, has the protest ended? And in terms of violence, is this continuing in different areas of Kenya?
Well, it's only in pockets. There have been sporadic protests, and they're in pockets in towns where the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has a huge following, and also in the informal settlements. And these areas, actually, the violence erupted yesterday when President Uhuru Kenyatta was declared winner. And police were already there. It's like they had marked these areas, as some of the areas might be hotspots for protests and violence. So they were already in the area, and attacks and the running battles between the protesters and the police started at night. And one of the things that the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights is saying that it was not right for the announcement to be made at night, and also for the police to continue with the attacks and to enter into people's houses at night. They said all this should have happened during the day.
Now, Sarah, let's go back to I think was the year 2007 or 2008, if I'm not mistaken. The situation presently, is it very similar to what happened back then with regards to the violence that erupted after elections, or is it different? Is there a slight difference this time around?
There is a slight difference, and actually a huge difference. When you compare the 2007 post-election violence, it happened in huge areas of the country, in the Rift Valley province, which is at this moment very quiet. It happened in most parts of Nairobi. It happened in a lot of the places in western parts of the country. But this time, it's pockets of violence in areas where disgruntled youth are coming onto the streets, and even the manner in which the protests are happening is different. That time there were people hacking each other with machetes. There was a lot of killing of women, people being burnt in churches. This time what we have seen is protests which are being repulsed by police. Probably the only similarity is that just like during that time when police are reported to have used excessive force, even now a lot of civil society organizations already coming out to say that police are using excessive force, which is a concern not just to them but to the protesters and their family members.
Now, Sarah, Kenya's main domestic poll monitoring organization's Elections Observation Group has basically come out and said that they found no evidence to suggest this week's election was manipulated or inaccurate, as the opposition have attested. Is the opposition taking this observation seriously?
No, they're not, and indeed, quite surprising. The tallies from the domestic monitors here almost similar to the tallies by the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which announced President Kenyatta a winner with 54.8% against Raila Odinga's 44.7%. That is almost the same figure that ELOG has, the domestic monitors. But the opposition will hear none of it. In fact, they're saying there is need for whether international or domestic monitors to be vetted, indicating that they feel most of them have allegiances to the ruling party, and most of them, they say it is possible that by the time they come to the country, they're already compromised by the ruling class and the administration that is in power presently. So they have refused to take that, and they continue to say that the elections were rigged.
Now, Sarah, the opposition have rejected, they basically came out before the announcement rejecting the election's outcome. Are they pursuing their claims for justice, if any?
Well, at the moment, they have said that they're not going to court. In fact, they're saying that their case is out in the People's Court, in the Court of the People, as they put it, as James Orengo, Senator-elect for Ugenya, has said. He says that the country, that this time going to court is not an alternative, saying they feel that the judiciary is not impartial, and they say that the judiciary will not be able to give a fair ruling and a fair judgment.
Now, Sarah, very quickly before we wrap up, how are they looking to rectify this, if there's any way of doing it? If they're not going to court, what are they planning to do as the opposition?
Well, when we speak to them, they're saying that the case is out there in the People's Court, the Court of Justice. However, they're also insisting that the people must remain calm. So we're still awaiting to hear what former Prime Minister Raila Odinga will say. We had been told that today he would come out to address, but instead the press conference that came out is where they made the claims that police has killed over 100 people, and which reports which you could not confirm because we asked them for numbers and evidence. They did not have any. And members of parliament who have been elected in this election, who are allied to the opposition, tried to make their way to Kibera, one of the areas where there is violence, to try and speak to the people to calm down the tensions, but they were repulsed by police because police felt that they would go to incite more violence. So we are still waiting to see then how they will sort it out. They have up to 14 days to lodge a petition. If they have not lodged a petition in court within this time, then President Kenyatta, who was gazetted today as the president-elect and the winner of this election, will be sworn in and inaugurated as the president to run for another 5 years.
Sarah, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That was our East Africa correspondent, Sarah Kimani, joining us on the line.